So, first of all, congratulations if you've got to this point where you are actually looking to contemplate some strategies for maintaining the results that you've now achieved, or if you're not far off maintaining or getting near the point of maintaining the goal that you're at. Okay, so let's say you are 10 pounds or less away from your goal, or just physically you look almost where you need to be. Some of the things that are really common is that people feel like, especially when it comes to weight loss, that it's a constant, never-ending journey. And in part it is true in the sense that we can't just let ourselves go. But despite what a lot of people think, where if you're not on a diet, then you're off a diet, which means if you're not losing weight, you're gaining weight, there is absolutely a way to set your body into a position where it is comfortable at that weight. And the best way to explain this is you'll have people who have been overweight for an extended period of time. I'm talking years. This could be from mid-teens up until their 40s and 50s, where they've largely stayed the same weight, give or take a couple of kilos or pounds. And then on the reverse side of things, you have those who are particularly skinny, who have been that skinny pretty much the whole life, in the sense that they have maintained that weight, again, within a couple of kilos, for the whole time. And so this is an element of homeostasis. And it's important to know this because they are not special people. They are not different. It's just that their body has adjusted to their personal conditions. It's conditioned to the amount that it is used to consuming. It's conditioned to the amount of activity that the human does. And so it's really important to understand that once you've achieved a goal, especially if you've never been there before, if you're someone who is heavier and you're wanting to get down to almost a dream weight, a dream look, that to maintain that position is going to take some time. And I'm going to run through just exactly how much time that's going to take, not to dishearten, but to give you an understanding that just because you achieve the goal, unless you want to go backwards, you need to spend time there. And if you don't spend time there, you will end up going backwards and you will struggle, okay? So you have to think about this. This is why habits are so important and why positive lifestyle change and having something that fits your routine long term is going to be the best way to make progress. So here on the screen, you'll see the problem and the solution. So the problems are things that you probably have thought or experienced in the past. Things like, does this have to be forever? Or what happens next after I've lost this weight? Or how do I maintain my results now that I've got here? And then also there'll be an element of lack of discipline as well. But this is all likely down to the fact that there's no solution at hand. This industry, the fitness industry, the health and fitness industry as a whole, is so focused on getting the result that there is no real emphasis on maintaining the result, which means that you will see people yo-yo dieting, trying fast plans, fatty plans, 7-day challenges, all this sort of stuff, detoxes, etc. You have to understand, okay, that the process is slow and steady. It has to be slow and steady because the longer we spend at maintenance, the longer we spend getting to the result that we need, the more we will adjust to it, the more that our habits will become relative to the goal, the more that we will enjoy the process rather than rushing it and doing too much too fast and burning out. And also, it has to be systematic. So it can't just be a case of once you have reached your weight to just start eating whenever you want, because if you think that that's the case, especially with stopping exercise too, and all this is quite common with those who have events coming up, so things like those who are getting ready for a wedding, those who are getting ready for a pretty major event, they will focus all their attention on this one day or this one week. It could be a holiday, it could be a couple of weeks on holiday, and the moment they get there to the event, the goal, then everything stops and there is zero maintenance required. I mean, there might be a small element a couple of weeks after, then after that, that's it. That's pretty much you done. You have not maintained the result. And ultimately, this is really common with those who get married, especially with women, but men too, where they get the comfortable stage. And it doesn't take long for this. It even happens in relationships once they mature, where you both relax. You're no longer looking after yourself so much because you are with someone, and you let yourself go, and you let each other go, and you don't hold each other accountable. And again, this is because there's a lack of education behind the process. So you need to have a real understanding of the above and understand your problems, be aware of the problems, and then understand that there is a solution. And I'm going to talk through it right now. So if you imagine this entire thing as being a performance, okay, and it's on a sliding scale. It's on a timeline that goes from one side all the way to the other. And it's broken down into 3 main stages, or at least I like to think it's broken down into 3 stages, and this is the way that I would like people and recommend to people to approach it. Okay, so let's say this is you, and this could be a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, it could be a couple of years ago, and you start your weight loss. Okay, so your weight loss stage, okay, and then at the other end of the scale you have future you. So this is your goal. This is you at your happiest. This is you looking and feeling amazing. This is you essentially at the dream. And between here you have a couple of stages. So once you've gone through the weight loss stage, the next one is the maintenance stage. Then after that you have the second element of the maintenance stage. And I didn't put the maintenance stage 1 in bright red, but you have to understand how important this first stage is, and I'll talk through it just in a little bit. So during your weight loss stage journey, okay, you can expect to lose somewhere between 2 and 4 pounds a week. This is pretty sustainable. Now it'll be 4 pounds a week for those who are of a larger frame, and it'll be more towards 2 pounds. It could even be 1 pound for those who are very slight. But generally, this is the guideline, is 2 to 4 pounds per week of weight loss. That can be expected to be maintained and is sustainable without putting too much stress on the body and causing too many difficulties. But this is an undisclosed amount of time, and the reason why is because I don't personally know at this point, looking at you, what your goal is and how long it's going to take for you to get there. So it has to be an undisclosed amount of time. But let's say, for example, you had 10 pounds to lose. Okay, that could be anywhere between 2.5 weeks to 5 weeks. So if you imagine you have 40 to 50 pounds, that's anywhere from, well, 20 weeks to 15 weeks, give or take. Maybe less. Okay, and lack of discipline is going to result in a longer time period. And what I mean by this is, if you are not fully committed to the process, you are never going to achieve the result. More importantly, you're never going to get to the point of being able to maintain the result that you want, which means that this journey is going to take longer. So I heavily recommend that once you get into a process, you are completely in it, you learn to love everything about it, and it's my goal and it's 3P's goal to make sure that every part of your journey is fully covered, from the tools, the strategies, and the systems that you need, and the support to guide you through that as well, to make this process as simple as possible and as enjoyable as possible too. So after that, we go into the maintenance stage, and what we need to do here is remove unnecessary activity. Now, one of the things that we recommend is that you are doing daily activity, more for stress reduction. Don't think of it as steady state cardio on treadmills, etc. Think of this massively as more like getting out of the door and going to de-stress. And by this point, you should have watched the videos on daily activity anyway, so you'll understand what this means. But this will be the thing that needs to go. And the reason why is because we don't just take you from your goal where, let's say you have lost 20 pounds or 40 pounds or whatever it may be, to just saying to you, look, that's you at the goal, you just do whatever you want, because that's how you're going to gain it back. Instead, what we need to do is carry on eating at the same way that we are, so no changes or pretty much zero changes to our nutrition, but we remove some activity, and then that calorie intake goes from being your deficit, and it's no longer your deficit because you are being less active. But it's super important that you keep resistance-based training in, okay? So things like attending the group training or doing your own training program is hugely important, okay? Resistance training is going to help you build and maintain that muscle mass all throughout this stage, and ultimately is going to give you that better shape. Okay, so this period's 1 month in duration, and it's hugely important. If you skip on this part before going on to the next one, again, it's going to affect the entire process, and it's going to make you super likely to regress. Then once we get into maintenance stage 2, what we actually have to do is add in a little bit more food. Now this doesn't have to be much, it could just essentially be 1 or 2 little snacks in a day, and that's it. That's the main thing that we need to do. But what you'll find is at this point, if you have made positive lifestyle changes and you found that exercise is a huge part of your life and you want to become more active, you will naturally adapt to it, you'll become more efficient, and that's where this will step in anyway. So those extra calories that you're going to be consuming aren't going to make you fat again. What they are going to be doing is helping you maintain your regular positive lifestyle changes, your progression onto your further goals, etc., and stop you from halting on progress. Just because you've stopped losing weight because you're no longer interested in losing weight, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be focusing on another goal. You need to stay consistent with your goals and make it an active part of your lifestyle. Hugely important. So this period is 5 months long. Now you might look at this and think, well, hold on, so my weight loss stage only took 1 month, and then I'm dedicating a month, and I'm using this as an example. My weight loss stage, took 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Now I'm having to dedicate a whole month more to weight loss, where I'm doing less activity, but I'm still being focused on my nutrition and still being focused on my positive lifestyle changes. Then there's a further 5 months. Why is there a further 5 months? Well, the reason why is because, as I mentioned before at the start, when people get to a certain body weight that is specific to their activity and the way that they usually eat, they enter something called homeostasis. So again, this is why people who are naturally skinny will generally stay around that weight, and people who are naturally larger will generally stay around that weight, and it becomes a struggle. You could eat more and end up gaining a bit more weight, but you'll drop back down to the weight you were. You could eat less and you'll lose weight, but then you'll go back up to the way that you were when things return to normal. And this is because there is no elasticity, so to speak, in your body. So because we've made these massive changes and we've reached our goals, we need to spend up to 6 months. Now this is a generalization, and for some they become the exception, not the rule, that it's less. Some people, it could only be a couple of months and their body starts to naturally stay at that weight. But generally 6 months at your new goal weight, your new physique, the way you look in the mirror, is how long it's going to take for you to maintain that result. And once you've achieved this and you've persevered through the whole thing, and you have got to the point now where you are completely educated on the process, you have made lifestyle changes that are going to last the rest of your life. You are going to be happier, you're going to be fitter, you're going to be leaner, you're going to be more confident, you're going to have more energy, all of these things by elongating the process as much as you possibly can. The more you can elongate this process, the more you can spend time focusing on being at your goal rather than working towards your goal, the more you're going to enjoy that time, the more you're going to be able to maintain it, and the more likely this goal of yours becomes the future you. Okay, so this is the reason why we have this maintenance schedule in place. And so how you do this is totally dependent on yourself, but my heavy recommendation at this point is make sure that it's regular resistance training, still being conscious with your nutrition, still being active with your daily activities, still being mindful of everything that you're doing. And this is going to ensure that everything, once you get to the maintenance stage, that you can enjoy it rather than hate every second, because again, you're more likely to regress at that point. Okay, so this video will have gave you a good understanding of the maintenance of your results, but if at any point you have any questions on anything, feel free to ask and we'll give you as much help as we possibly can. Okay, have a great day and we'll speak to you again soon.